The journey within, discovering God through the purity of your heart. There comes a moment in every life, quiet, unannounced, and deeply unsettling, when you realize that no amount of noise from the outside world can silence the emptiness within. You've achieved things that once seemed impossible. You've crossed off goals that once felt distant. Yet in the stillness of the night, when the applause fades and the world sleeps, a voice within whispers, "Is this all there is?" This is not a question of ambition. It is not doubt, nor despair. It is the soul, your truest self, calling you home. It is the voice of God planted deep within the soil of your heart, reminding you that the greatest journey you will ever take is not across oceans or up mountains, but inward, into the depths of your own being. Because here's a truth most people never dare to face: everything you are searching for, peace, power, clarity, purpose, it does not exist out there. It was never in the money. It was never in the title. It was never in the validation of strangers. It has always been buried beneath the layers of fear, ego, and noise you've built around your heart. And until you have the courage to peel them back, you will forever mistake movement for progress. This is the journey within, and it is the most challenging, most rewarding, most transformational pursuit you will ever undertake. History has shown us that the giants who shaped the world were not merely men of action, they were men of depth. Thomas Edison's relentless experiments were not just acts of invention, they were expressions of an inner belief that light must exist even when the world was still dark. Abraham Lincoln's resolve through war was not just political strategy, it was the manifestation of a soul anchored to a higher purpose. And Napoleon Hill himself, who spoke of success as a state of mind, taught that no man can truly achieve greatness until he aligns his inner world with the infinite intelligence that governs all. That infinite intelligence is God. And yet, humanity spends most of its time looking everywhere but within. We chase status to feel significant, possessions to feel secure, and relationships to feel loved. But you are not here to chase. You are here to become. And becoming begins with purification, the art of cleansing the heart from everything that blocks the divine light already present inside you. The heart is like a mirror. When clean, it reflects the truth, the presence of God, the clarity of purpose, the path forward. But over time, it gathers dust. Ego, pride, anger, envy, fear. These layers distort the reflection until you can no longer see who you truly are. The journey within is the process of wiping that mirror clean, of removing everything false, everything toxic, everything unworthy, until only purity remains. And in that purity, you discover God. But make no mistake, this is not a path for the faint of heart. The world rewards external achievements. It claps for visible victories. It crowns those who win battles on the outside. But the battles that truly matter are fought in silence, in the stillness of your mind, in the furnace of your character, in the secret chambers of your heart. To conquer the world, you must first conquer yourself. This is why discipline is sacred. Not because it makes you productive, but because it purifies. Every time you choose purpose over comfort, you weaken the ego. Every time you practice gratitude in hardship, you polish the heart. Every time you rise after failure, you deepen your connection with the divine. Discipline is not about control, it is about liberation. It is the key that unlocks the higher self, the part of you designed to reflect God's strength, wisdom, and love. And belief is the foundation of this journey. Not blind belief, not wishful thinking, but a deep, unwavering conviction that you were created by God for God, that your life is not an accident, but a mission. When you believe this, failure becomes a lesson, pain becomes purification, and every setback becomes a signpost guiding you closer to who you are meant to be. The world will try to distract you. It will tempt you with comfort. It will seduce you with shortcuts. But greatness, the kind of greatness that shakes generations and echoes through eternity, is born from those who refuse to be enslaved by the superficial. It is born from those who dare to look inward, who confront their flaws, who surrender their ego, and who let the divine sculpt their destiny from the inside out. So stop running from yourself. Stop seeking externally what was placed within you all along. The kingdom of heaven is not hidden behind locked doors, it is etched into the fabric of your soul. The answers you seek are already waiting in the silence. The strength you crave is already whispering in your stillness. The God you long for has never left your side. The only question is, will you go within to find him? Clarity. It is the compass of the soul, and yet, most wander their entire lives without it. They chase 1,000 ambitions, pursue countless goals, and drown in endless noise, yet wonder why peace evades them. The reason is simple: you cannot move with purpose if you do not know where you are going. And you cannot know where you are going until you know who you are. Who are you, truly? Strip away the titles, the roles, the possessions. Who remains? Not the job you hold, not the car you drive, not the applause you collect. Beneath all those masks lives a soul, a divine spark, breathed into you by the Creator himself. That is your true identity. You are not a creature of circumstance. You are a vessel of purpose, designed to reflect something far greater than yourself. The moment you anchor your identity in that truth, clarity emerges like dawn after a long, dark night. From this clarity springs vision, not a wish, not a vague dream, but a sacred blueprint of what your life is meant to build. God does not create without intention. The tree exists to give shade. The river flows to nourish. The sun rises to illuminate. And you were crafted with a purpose written into the fabric of your being. But vision is not revealed to the distracted. It is not whispered to those who never pause. It is unveiled to those who dare to silence the world and listen to the still, small voice within. This is where so many fail. They pray for guidance but never sit still long enough to hear it. They beg for purpose but drown it beneath the noise of endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless consumption. But the soul does not scream. It whispers. And if you wish to hear the call of your destiny, you must quiet the chaos within and around you. Once vision awakens, a new fire ignites purpose. Purpose is the fuel that turns ordinary people into extraordinary forces. It is what kept Thomas Edison awake through 1,000 failed experiments. It is what drove Abraham Lincoln to lead a divided nation. It is what compelled Mother Teresa to give her life in service to the forgotten. Purpose transforms suffering into strength, pain into power, obstacles into opportunities. And when your purpose is aligned with God, when it flows not from ego but from service, not from greed but from love, then nothing in this world can stand against you. But purpose without discipline is like a ship without sails, full of potential, yet going nowhere. And here is where most dreams die. People love the idea of greatness, but they despise the grind that builds it. They crave the rewards of success but reject the responsibility it demands. Understand this: every vision worth pursuing will require sacrifice. You will be called to wake before the world rises. You will be tested in the fires of failure. You will be tempted to quit 1,000 times. And every time you resist, every time you choose persistence over comfort, you are purifying not just your character, but your heart. Discipline is worship. It is a declaration to God that you value the purpose He has given you more than the pleasures of the moment. It is a daily act of devotion, not to the world, not to an audience, but to the divine mission that beats within your chest. And through this discipline, you are shaped. Like iron forged in flame, your spirit is strengthened by resistance. Like a diamond born under pressure, your potential is revealed through struggle. The hardship is not punishment, it is preparation. For it is often in defeat that He teaches strength. It is in failure that He plants the seeds of wisdom. And it is in the darkness of despair that His light shines brightest. The question is not whether you will fall, you will. The question is whether you will rise again, purified, sharpened, unstoppable. This is the rhythm of every great soul. Fall. Rise. Learn. Evolve. Repeat. And with each cycle, you grow closer to the highest version of yourself, the version that lives not for applause, not for validation, but for divine purpose. The version that sees setbacks as stepping stones, rejection as redirection, suffering as sanctification. The version that understands that success is not about what you get, but about who you become in the process. Because becoming, not acquiring, is the essence of this journey. The world measures success by wealth, followers, status. But the divine measures it by the condition of your heart. Have you learned patience? Have you conquered your ego? Have you chosen forgiveness over vengeance, love over hatred, faith over fear? These are the true victories. These are the battles that shape destiny. And as you continue this inner journey, building clarity, vision, purpose, discipline, resilience, you will find that the world around you begins to change. Not because the circumstances are different, but because you are. The same storm that once terrified you now strengthens you. The same obstacles that once discouraged you now refine you. And the same setbacks that once felt like endings now reveal themselves as divine beginnings. Gratitude. It is one of the most misunderstood forces in the universe, dismissed by many as a mere attitude, when in truth, it is a doorway. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing the divine hand at work even in what you don't understand. It is the conscious choice to trust that every chapter, the triumph and the tragedy, the rise and the fall, is part of a story authored with love and wisdom far beyond your comprehension. Think about this: every breath you take is a gift. Every sunrise that greets you is a blessing. Every challenge that refines you is grace in disguise. Yet how often do we overlook them, racing through life with eyes fixed only on what we lack? The ungrateful heart sees scarcity everywhere, but the grateful heart sees abundance even in ashes. And when you train your heart to see abundance, you align yourself with the rhythm of divine provision. Gratitude transforms the way you experience the world. It turns struggles into stepping stones, delays into lessons, and even heartbreak into holy ground. This is why the most powerful souls in history were deeply grateful, not just in seasons of abundance but especially in moments of despair. They knew that every detour was deliberate. They trusted that the author of their story was still writing. And in that trust, they found peace beyond understanding. But gratitude does more than comfort, it empowers. It fuels perseverance, sharpens perspective, and invites more blessings into your life. For what you appreciate, appreciates. When you thank God for what you have, you create space for more. And when you stop complaining about what is missing, you start noticing the miracles that have been present all along. Yet even gratitude alone is not enough. Because there will come moments when your plans crumble, when doors close without explanation, when the road ahead vanishes into uncertainty. And in those moments, you must learn the most difficult, most liberating lesson of all: surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is not giving up. Surrender is strength in its purest form, the strength to trust God's wisdom over your own. It is the humility to admit that you are not the author of your story, only the character living it. It is the courage to release your grip on control and open your hands to divine direction. This is the paradox of power. The moment you stop trying to control everything, you become unstoppable. Because when you surrender, you stop fighting against the current of life and begin to flow with it. You stop clinging to plans that no longer serve you and allow better ones to unfold. And most importantly, you stop limiting God to your imagination and let Him lead you to possibilities you never conceived. Remember this: you are not losing when you surrender, you are aligning. Aligning with the wisdom that shaped galaxies. Aligning with the intelligence that designed life itself. Aligning with the will that knows what is best for you even when you do not. And when you align, you move with the current of divine timing, and nothing in the universe can stand in your way. But to live in alignment, you must also master adaptability. Life is not a straight path. It twists, it turns, it surprises. And while your destination may be certain, the route will rarely be predictable. Those who cling too tightly to their plans break when life bends them. Those who adapt, who bend without breaking, discover that detours are often the most direct path to destiny. Adaptability is not compromise, it is wisdom. It is the ability to shift your sails when the wind changes while never losing sight of the shore. It is what allowed Walt Disney to endure bankruptcy before building an empire. It is what helped Nelson Mandela turn 27 years of imprisonment into a legacy of freedom. It is what will allow you to transform setbacks into strength and uncertainty into innovation. And in this dance between gratitude and surrender, adaptability and faith, something profound begins to happen. Your heart becomes purified. The layers of fear and doubt peel away. The weight of control dissolves. The noise of the world fades into silence. And in that silence, you encounter God not as a distant concept, as an intimate presence, closer to you than your own breath, speaking not in thunder but in whisper. This is the ultimate purpose of the journey within, not merely to achieve, not merely to succeed, but to know. To know the one who designed you. To know the one who walks beside you. To know the one who placed greatness within you, not so you could glorify yourself, but so you could reflect his glory into the world. And once you know him, truly know him, everything changes. Ambition is no longer about ego, it becomes service. Wealth is no longer about accumulation, it becomes contribution. Success is no longer measured in trophies but in the lives you touch, the hope you spread, the love you give. Because in knowing God, you discover that the greatest calling of all is not to become more but to become a vessel, a conduit through which his light can reach a dark and weary world. Love. It is the heartbeat of the universe, the language through which God speaks, and the highest expression of a purified heart. And yet, for most, love is misunderstood, reduced to sentiment, romance, or fleeting emotion. But love, in its truest form, is so much more. Love is sacrifice. Love is service. Love is choosing compassion when anger feels easier, forgiveness when resentment feels justified, and kindness when cruelty would be simpler. It is no coincidence that every great soul, every prophet, every visionary, every reformer who changed the course of history was defined by love. They built empires of faith, movements of justice, and legacies of hope, not with armies or weapons, but with the power of a heart aligned with the divine. They understood a timeless truth: to know God is to love, and to love is to reflect God. And this love cannot remain hidden. It demands expression, not just in words, but in deeds. Love must become service. Because when you truly discover God within, your ambitions expand beyond the self. No longer is success measured by how high you climb, but by how many you lift as you rise. No longer is wealth defined by what you accumulate, but by what you give. No longer is greatness about power over others, but power for others. Service is the bridge between heaven and earth. It is the way your inner transformation ripples outward into a world desperate for light. It is how your purified heart becomes a healing force in your family, your community, your nation, your era. And it is in this service that you discover a paradox: the more you give, the more you receive. The more you pour out, the more you are filled. The more you surrender your life for a cause beyond yourself, the more meaningful your life becomes. This is how legacies are built. Not by fame, which fades. Not by fortune, which vanishes. But by impact, which echoes long after you are gone. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., whose dream still awakens courage in the hearts of the oppressed. Think of Florence Nightingale, whose compassion still saves lives generations later. Think of Nelson Mandela, whose endurance still teaches nations the meaning of freedom. Their legacies were not born of selfish ambition but of divine love flowing through them into the world. And you, yes, you, are called to build a legacy too. It doesn't matter where you start, how broken your past is, or how ordinary your circumstances may seem. Within you lies a spark capable of igniting change. Within you is a story that can inspire. Within you is a heart that, once purified and surrendered, can become a vessel for God's work on this earth. But that legacy will not be built tomorrow. It begins now, in the choices you make today. Choose forgiveness over bitterness. Choose courage over comfort. Choose faith over fear. Choose service over selfishness. Each choice polishes the mirror of your soul. Each act of love expands the borders of your impact. And each moment lived with divine intention moves you closer to the destiny written for you before the beginning of time. This is the journey within, the sacred pilgrimage of the soul. It begins with a whisper of discontent and ends with the roar of purpose. It starts in darkness and leads you into light. Along the way, you will battle ego, conquer fear, embrace discipline, learn resilience, practice gratitude, surrender control, and awaken love. And with each step, you will discover not just who you are, but whose you are. And when that realization fully takes root, life will never be the same again. Because once you know that you walk with God, how can you fear the path ahead? Once you understand that the author of the universe is writing your story, how can you doubt the next chapter? Once you believe that the Creator Himself lives within you, how can you ever feel small? This is the truth the world tries to hide from you: you are not ordinary. You are not accidental. You are not powerless. You are a soul breathed into existence by the Infinite, designed to reflect His glory, wired to seek His presence, and destined to fulfill His purpose. And the more you remember that, the more unstoppable you become. So rise. Rise with faith that your steps are guided. Rise with courage that your battles are not in vain. Rise with conviction that your life is bigger than your fears, your failures, and your doubts. Rise and build. Rise and serve. Rise and love. Rise and become everything you were meant to be. Because the journey within this sacred, lifelong pursuit of God through the purity of your heart is not just the path to spiritual awakening. It is the path to unshakable strength, unbreakable purpose, and unimaginable impact. It is the path that transforms dreamers into leaders, seekers into finders, and ordinary lives into divine legacies. And if you dare to walk it, if you dare to face yourself, purify your heart, surrender your will, and align your life with the divine, then you will discover the greatest truth of all. That God was never far away. He was never silent. He was never absent. He was within you, waiting to be discovered from the very beginning. And so, we return to the question that started it all, the question whispered by your soul in the silence of the night: is this all there is? The answer, now illuminated by every step of this journey, is clear: no. This is not all there is. There is more, infinitely more, than the shallow victories the world parades before you. More than the possessions that rust and fade. More than the applause that dies the moment the crowd goes home. More than the temporary comforts that numb but never satisfy. There is a greatness buried deep within you, not measured by worldly scales but by the measure of eternity. And it has been waiting patiently, lovingly, for you to stop looking outward and start looking inward. Because the kingdom of God does not lie in distant stars or sacred temples built of stone. It resides in the silent chambers of your heart. The very breath in your lungs is a reminder that the infinite dwells within the finite, that the divine is closer to you than your own pulse. And when you awaken to that truth, the whole world changes, not because it has, but because you have. The old version of you, driven by fear, enslaved by ego, distracted by noise, begins to fade. And in its place rises a new self, anchored, unshakable, luminous. A self no longer addicted to validation because it has found value in the eyes of the Creator. A self no longer crippled by uncertainty because it walks with divine confidence. A self no longer desperate to be seen, because it now sees itself clearly, a masterpiece crafted by the hands of God. This is the power of the inner journey. It does not make life easier, it makes you stronger. It does not erase challenges, it transforms how you face them. It does not promise you a life free of storms, it gives you the faith to walk on water when they come. When you build your life from the inside out, no external force can shake what is rooted in the eternal. The storms will still come. People will still doubt you. Plans will still fail. But none of it will define you anymore. Because you are no longer defined by what happens to you, only by what happens within you. And what happens within a heart purified and aligned with God is nothing short of miraculous. Ordinary days become sacred opportunities. Work becomes worship. Success becomes service. Even suffering becomes a doorway to deeper intimacy with the divine. Life, in all its chaos and beauty, becomes a canvas upon which God paints His purpose through you. And here is the greatest secret of all: the destination of this journey was never somewhere far away. It was never at the top of the mountain or beyond the edge of the horizon. It was always here. The treasure you were seeking was hidden inside you from the very beginning. Like a seed buried beneath the soil, it only needed time, nourishment, and courage to grow. And now, as you awaken to the presence of God within, you realize that you were never searching for Him, He was searching for you. The question now is not whether God is near, He is. The question is, what will you do with this truth? Will you return to the noise and distractions, chasing shadows that dissolve with the sunrise? Or will you step into the life you were created for, a life of depth, of purpose, of service, of divine partnership? Will you keep living as a wanderer, or will you rise as a warrior, a vessel through which heaven touches earth? The choice is yours. It always has been. And the moment you choose, truly choose, to walk this path, everything changes. Your dreams will no longer be limited by fear, because you'll understand they are not yours alone, they are God's dreams flowing through you. Your struggles will no longer feel meaningless, because you'll see them as instruments of your becoming. Your victories will no longer feed your ego, because you'll know they were never achieved by your power, but by His grace. And when your final day comes, as it will for us all, you will not look back with regret, wondering if your life mattered. You will look back with peace, knowing you lived, truly lived. You will know that you did more than exist, you fulfilled. You did more than chase, you became. And you will understand that the greatest accomplishment of your life was not what you built, earned, or achieved, but who you became in the process, a soul awakened, a heart purified, a vessel through which God's love flowed freely into the world. So let the world chase its illusions. Let it measure success by numbers and titles and possessions. You are called to something higher. You are called to rise, to awaken, to journey inward, to discover the divine not as a distant deity, but as the very essence of your being. For in the end, the greatest journey is not the one that takes you across oceans or into the stars. It is the one that takes you deeper into yourself, deeper into your heart, deeper into the presence of the one who created you. And once you have walked that path, once you have discovered God through the purity of your heart, you will understand the truth that saints, sages, prophets, and seekers have whispered for centuries. That heaven was never somewhere you had to find. It was always within you, waiting to be revealed.